we have a very well-known person who has made our country proud. I wish to welcome Dr. Udaya Kumar Dharmalingam, who is the designer of the Indian currency rupee symbol. As I was telling him, we had seen him on the newspapers, but it is really wonderful to see him on the screen today. As if we are sitting with him. Um, he is an associate professor and head of the Department of Design at IIT Guwahati. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Uday Kumar for a discussion. Please feel free, Dr. Uday Kumar, if you whatever you want to share with us. We are a big group here, and please go ahead. We welcome you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Rashmi. So, thank you for the introduction and also giving a brief about the event. And yeah, so thank you for firstly for the invitation. I'm thankful to Romy Dev, who had been constantly pursuing me to come for this event and join the event, and also IDF for giving me this opportunity and platform to share whatever that I've know. So, thank you. Yeah, so maybe I'll just give you a brief overview of how all of these things started. And so, as you know, this was a design competition. Yeah, it was about 10 years ago. It was announced in 2009, and the result was announced in 2010. This was organized by the Government of India in with involving the Reserve Bank of India and the Finance Ministry. So all of them came together and kind of floated this competition, and any Indian citizen can participate in this competition. Maybe some of you are already familiar because this is almost like a decade now, and there has already been a lot of coverages. But nevertheless, I thought I'll just kind of give you a little bit of a background so that it becomes there's a flow to it. It was announced roughly, I mean, on maybe in March 2009, and they had about 2 to 2.5 months time for us to kind of work on it. And at that point of time, I was doing my PhD at IDC School of Design, IIT Bombay. Earlier, it was called IDC Industrial Design Center, IIT Bombay. I was doing my PhD and I almost finished my thesis, and I was kind of wrapping up with the PhD and submitting it. At the time this came about, and then it was circulated in the department, and a lot of people participated, and I was also enthusiastic in participating it because I do know that this is a very important competition and it's of very national importance, and I was very keen and eager to take part. And I usually do that during the college days. I do take part in the various design competitions along with my friends. Yeah, all my friends also do. So I did participate, and I after submission, there was not much of a response from the government. It took quite a while for them to respond to it. And in December 2009, there was a communication which kind of they sent a letter that my design was chosen as one of the 5 finalists for the rupee symbol. And the 5 finalists were invited to Reserve Bank of India to make a presentation. And we were given certain guidelines how to do and what to do and so on. So we were asked to present about for 10 minutes, yeah, and we will make a presentation to a jury members, a panel of jury members, and the jury members will kind of evaluate and assess the final design. And this presentation, which I'm sharing it with you, is just the same presentation which I shared 10 years ago with the jury members. I've not changed anything. It's just, and I've been repeatedly presenting the same thing to everywhere, and it is also there online. Yeah, so this is the same presentation, and though it was about to be, it was meant to be for 10 minutes. Probably I will elaborate on few of the slides and explain to you a little more. And of course, you can also feel free to ask any questions which you can answer. So this the same presentation, and after we presented all, there were 5 people who came, 5 finalists who had come there, and it was a closed presentation. We were not allowed to sit for the other people's presentation, so we did not get to know what the others have designed. At least I did not know. But at the end of the day, when we all came out and when we met and we kind of shared amongst ourselves, in fact, I wanted to kind of see other people's design, so they kind of shared it with me, and it was very nice. And more or less, it looks the same, similar to what I've done. But there was something more, probably that would have gotten the attention of the panel members, and maybe that's why they choose my design. So And at the end of the presentation, we also had one group discussion. And in the group discussion, what they mentioned was this. So they told to every finalist. Yeah. So they said that we are only a recommendation committee. So the panel members were two. Two were from finance ministry and which in a higher position, and one was a deputy governor of RBI, the then deputy governor. It was Usha Thorot, madam, and then there was one other person from RBI, and there were three distinguished professors and faculty members who are directors from reputed design institutes in our country. Yeah, so there were three members. So totally there were 7 people who were kind of evaluated and assessed our design. So at the end of the presentation, like I said, there was a discussion, and in the discussion, what they said was, so we are only a recommending committee. So our recommendation will go in the order of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We will rank your entries and we will send it to the cabinet ministry, because it's going to be a national symbol. So then it has to it has to go through the parliament and made into a law. So they said that it will go to the cabinet ministry, and the cabinet ministers will kind of vote again. And in that, the order might change, and somebody can come first, somebody can come again later, and so on. So, and then it was further, after the recommendation of the cabinet ministry, the final decision will be left to the then prime minister, who was Manmohan Singh, Dr. Manmohan Singh, and then the finance minister. So they both will kind of take a final decision on which the symbol will be. So this is what they kind of told us. We really don't know what happened later on, and so we are not aware. But yeah, and after that meeting, and there was no response from their end, and it took almost more than 6 months. Yeah, it's more than 6 months, and yeah, maybe 7 months. So in July 15th, they kind of announced it on the national television. Okay, so as you see, this is the symbol which is now is being widely used, which is it's everywhere almost. And it's also there in the currency notes and the coins now. Yeah, so yeah, so the basic idea of the symbol is this scripts. Yeah, that is the core philosophy of the symbol. Why I kind of designed based on this is because when the competition was floated, they had a lot of these guidelines. Yeah, so one of the guidelines were mentioned that the Indian symbol, this currency symbol, should reflect our culture, tradition, and ethos. So then I was trying to kind of identify, that was my core idea. So I wanted to focus on that particular concept. How do you kind of create a design which is like which is Indian, yeah, which also reflects our culture, because it's a very challenging task. We all know how India is. Yeah, India as a nation, and its history is concerned, its tradition is concerned. So it's very complex, it's diverse. It's very difficult to kind of represent India in a one single image. Yeah, so then I was trying to study and research a bit, and I spent a lot of time doing research onto it. And since my specialization is also in typography, so I do work on typography related projects and works, and I teach typography as well. So my PhD thesis was also on typography. To be specific, it was on Tamil typography. So yeah, so I tried to study a lot of scripts in our country. So then I found that these were the two. So I then took these two letters, the R and R, and I tried to blend them together. So this was the basis of the design. And this was basically an abbreviation. If you look at R, it will kind of expand like Rupiah. And so it's in Devanagari script. Similarly, it also kind of is like an R which expands to rupees. So Rupiah and rupees both denote the Indian currency. And one of the uniqueness of the Devanagari script, why I choose Devanagari script in spite of the other multi-scripts that we have in our country. So this is one is because it's a unique script from two perspectives. Yeah, so one is that it has this top line. Here you can see a blue line, which is called the Shirorika, which is an visual element which is constantly there in all the letter forms of the Devanagari script. So which is unlike many of the scripts around the world. You will not find one common element which is like together with all the letters. Yeah. So and this also gives kind of an identity to the script and also to Indianness. Yeah. Why I say it gives an identity to Indianness is because, say, for example, if you have a English letter, it's a Latin alphabet, or a word, and if you want to convert that into an Indian version, yeah, so what you do, you typically put this top line with the letter A, B, and C, and so on, and then make it like a kind of a, looks like a desi kind of a version, yeah, of the text, of the Roman letters. So this kind of gives an identity, yeah, to India to some extent, yeah. At least we can reflect it onto that, yeah. So, and that's one point, and the second is that it is the only script which is actually hangs from the top line. Yeah, most of the scripts around the world will you, when you write them, you will sit on a baseline. When you give a ruled notebook, we use the line to kind of write the letters. But if you look at Devanagari, it will hang from the top line. It doesn't sit on the baseline, but also hangs from the top line, which is like kind of a different system, which also is a uniqueness to the script in itself. So, like I said, I try to blend the even the Roman script R into the design, because it, like I said, R will expand to rupees. So rupiah, rupees, both denoting the currency. So that is why I kind of blended. So the reason to blend is because I want to create something which is universal in design. Yeah. Because it's, the symbol is not only for our country where the people will be using it, it will be used worldwide. So I want everybody to kind of comprehend what the symbol would stand for. Yeah? So I want it to be meaningful to many of them, and they will want to associate it with the meaning. So so that is why I try to kind of combine both the scripts together in the symbol. Yeah? So to give it a universality, yeah, to it. Yeah. So we are talking about World Usability Day. So in a sense, kind of you could kind of relate it, yeah, very much. Another thing, it's just not that, but there are a lot of things also went into the design, yeah, so which I had in mind, and as a conceptual idea. Again, so this has to be seen as symbolically. Yeah. So you can see these two lines, which also creates this tricolor flag in that. Yeah. Typically, when I have a presentation, a live presentation, I often ask the questions to the audiences about many of the slides. But now that we are working on online, so it might take time. So, but rather, I will kind of explain. So the reason why I try to put a flag is because flag is the only symbol which will represent the entire India. Yeah, and it represents a common man, and everyone is all every individual of this country is patriotic about the flag. Yeah, not just our country, any country if you take, they are always patriotic about the flag when they see it. Yeah, so one, the patriotism, and one, the association. You kind of feel that it belongs to me. Yeah, it just like it represents every Indian, and also it is the only symbol which would kind of represent every Indian in spite of the diversity, yeah, the diversity that we have. If you look at India, as you already are familiar and aware of it, is that we are diverse in every aspect of it. Yeah, you take the food, you take the geography, you take the language, you take the culture, you take the rituals, you take the religions, you take costumes, you take the dressing sense, or anything you take it, just very diverse, but still we are united. Yeah, and this flag is something which kind of represents everybody and unites everybody together, and it represents India. Yeah, so that, and reinforces the idea of India also. Yeah, so that was the idea, to kind of put that flag, and also like flying high up on the top, to kind of make it kind of a statement, like flying high. Yeah, so and there were a lot of other ideas also went into it. You can also see this as an arithmetic sign, and in mathematics we often use this. Yeah, and if you look at the concept of the commerce itself, the economy, yeah, how it all began, it's just a very simple system which started off with. Yeah, so if you look at the ancient times, what they kind of developed is a barter system. Yeah, so I'm sure you have read in the history, yeah, what barter system is. What basically we do is that we exchange goods of equal values. Yeah. So say I give 1 kilo of rice, maybe you will give 2 kilos of sugar, or maybe if I give 1 kilo of chana, you will give something else. So just basically an equal amount. So over a time, they kind of the people devised a system, yeah, which is the currency. So they had a common commodity to kind of exchange with, yeah, which is like basically the coins and the rupees. Yeah. So if I give you one coin, so probably you will give some amount of quantity of any product equivalent to that coin. Yeah. So whether it's gold, silver, or whatever it is. Yeah. And slowly now, of course, we are using a currency which is basically paper. Yeah. So which is like if I give you 10 rupees, you will give 10 rupees worth of product, whatever that is. Yeah, maybe a toothpaste or a brush or whatever it is. Yeah, so it's just a equal value. Yeah, so that's how the economy works. Yeah, and that's how the commerce starts, and that's where it starts. Yeah, so I want to represent this idea of commerce into that. Yeah, so it's this equal values that is being exchanged is what determines the economy, and so that's one part of it. And two, I also wanted to kind of showcase or tell that it's our country's economy should be stable and balanced, and it should flourish ahead. Yeah, so. In 2008, if you had read the news, there were a lot of these countries which had a collapse, the economic collapse, in US, and some of the European countries as well. Yeah. So, and I wanted to kind of symbolically again, so most of these things are conceptual in idea, which I wanted to kind of put it into the design. And yeah, so I wanted to kind of create something which is like very stable economy through the design. And if you look at it, you can also see here it's like 1 is equal to 2 yen. And I also kind of looked at various other currency symbols across the world and try to understand and look at their history, background, and study how they origin or their origins and how they were designed and so on. So I try to research as much as possible, and then so then I kind of designed it in line with the rest of the currency symbols around the world. Yeah, here I can just show you some examples, and in the next slide you can kind of see this with all the other currency signs. Of course, there were a lot more I collected. These are just a few of it, which I'm just kind of showing it on the screen. Yeah, here you can very clearly notice that what makes a currency sign. Yeah, so it becomes very obvious when you kind of make this visual comparison. You can see that there is a letter which is being cut across by a line, a single line or a two line, either vertically, horizontally, or diagonally. Yeah, so that's the basic fundamental visual grammar that exists between the currency signs. So I wanted to kind of create something which is in line with the rest of the currency signs, and not completely radical or completely different. Yeah. That's because there are certain associations with certain symbols. So this is what we study in communication theory. Yeah. So I'm sure many of you are also familiar with semiotics and semantics and so on. Yeah. So if you look at in the semiotic theory, yeah, so there are certain semantics. There are certain visual symbols which are understood in a certain way, yeah, which has its own inherent meaning embedded to it. Yeah. So like a crescent, which means which will relate to Islam, or a cross, which will relate to Christianity, and so on. So there are a lot of symbols. I mean, I'm just kind of giving you an example. So I want to kind of create a currency symbol, not like any corporate identity or traffic sign. Yeah. So this is something what I try to understand and then try to keep a similarity. In fact, once when this was announced, there were a lot of people who kind of criticized it. There's some of the people who criticized it because stating that this was just a copy of the euro sign and dollar sign. There is no originality. He just picked it up and just copied it. What's a big difference and what's a big deal? There's no design to it and so on. So, which was perfectly fine, which is understandable. Yeah. So when you look at it, it's just like any other sign that is there. But the idea is that you need to understand the user and try to understand how they're going to use it and accept it. And it is because they are familiar with this kind of symbols, that's why they kind of quickly accept them. Otherwise, they have to kind of figure out what the symbol is and understand what it is. Yeah. So it was intentional and it was purposefully done, yeah, to kind of imitate rest of the currency signs around the world. Yeah. So and also I use the existing letters, which is like R and R. If you are from the English medium, you definitely know what letter R and how it looks like and how you can write them. Yeah. So when you use a familiar design, it becomes a lot more easier for writing, for practicing, or adapting it. Yeah. So familiarity actually helps in adapting. And I can give you one good example. Yeah. So if you have been in a public space, say a railway station, of course not now, and in a normal times, yeah, so in an airport or in a railway station or a temple or any place, yeah, in a crowded places, yeah. So suppose you see your relative or a friend, what do you do? Yeah. So immediately we kind of make a relationship. When this we'll start a conversation. We'll say hi, hello. We just go greet them or at least smile at them and so on, because you are familiar with that particular person and you wanted to have a conversation. Say if you see your best friend at a railway station, yeah, but you will not do that with any other person who are just passing by. Yeah, so you will not do that because you're not familiar with those people, but you are very much accustomed to certain people because you are familiar with them. you start a conversation. You just go interact with that person. Yeah. So at least wave hands to them. Yeah. So that is what familiarity does, and it becomes easier for you to accept those people. But you don't accept a stranger because you don't know about them, so you don't accept strangers. So because of using the similar letter forms, it becomes easier for people to adapt, and that's why once the symbol was announced, many people kind of quickly adapted, and it was there everywhere, and there was no difficulty for people to even to write the symbols. Yeah, not just use. And visually also it is very simple, because simplicity was one of the major concerns that I had when designing it. I wanted to keep it as simple as possible instead of creating something which is very complex, and at the same time have a very good meaning embedded to it. Yeah? So if you look at the entire visual structure, it's just like 3 strokes, and it's very easy and quick to write. And it also, because of the simplicity, you also have a very high recall value. And adding to the in addition to the familiarity that we have. Yeah. And I also used to work on the various technical details. Of course, I'll not go detailed to it, because since I also am familiar with type design to some extent, so I kind of worked on at each and every millimeter level, trying to kind of see the right proportion and how aesthetically it will look like, how it will appear. So beauty was also one of the concerns which I had, to create simplicity. Aesthetics is all I was very much concerned about. And I also shot several short videos. I think the video is not embedded in this presentation. I'm sorry. It's just like a couple of seconds videos, which kind of shows how people would write. Yeah. So all of this thing I've done even before I won the competition. So this was all a part of the documentations which was to present to the panel members. Yeah. So I'm sorry I don't I don't have the video to showcase. Yeah, and there were a lot of other finer details which I worked on, like in terms of balancing, visual balance. Yeah, if you look at letter R, the lower inclination at the bottom kind of makes the letter fall on the left side. Yeah, then I kind of used an opposite cut. Yeah, if you look at the cut lines, the 2 strokes that they are there on the top, it is going on the opposite direction to kind of balance it out. And of course, I also wanted to kind of show progressiveness, which is also the reason why I wanted to have that kind of a movement instead of having a straight parallel cut. And similarly, the extension of the lines from the vertical axis, I try to kind of manipulate and work from my own aesthetics perception. Yeah, what I found as aesthetically appealing for me, I worked on that. Yeah, so I also did one other thing, which is the design of the paisa, which was not a mandate, but I thought since they are already having this competition, why not kind of create a rupee, a paisa symbol also and give it to them? Because if you look at US, you have the cent symbol for the cents and dollars and so on. So I felt that if they again wanted to come up with the paisa symbol, they don't have to float a competition, because logistically it will be expensive, time consuming, and it may not be in line with the rupee symbol. So we want to create a family, yeah, which will go well, and it will be like hand to hand. Yeah. So that is the reason which I kind of thought about, and I kind of showcased this with the jury members. And but they said that we will think about it, and after that, of course, I did not hear from them. But yeah, as a designer, you wanted to kind of give more, yeah. So anticipate more than what has actually been asked for, yeah, as a problem statement. So that's why I try to kind of I try to approach in that manner and try to provide more as much as possible. Again, of course, relevant and appropriate inclusions. And this is how it will look like with the Devanagari numerals, because typically these symbols are seen with the numbers. Yeah. So, and this is with Arabic numerals, so how it will look like. Try to kind of make a comparison. And I also try to work on the Unicode position, because it's going to be on the digital platform as well. And of course, I'm not an expert in this. This was just my preliminary study from what I could understand in terms of where this could be placed in the Unicode. So these were some options which I found, and I thought I'll kind of suggest them. Again, like I said, I'm not an expert in the technical aspects of encoding and of script and so on. So yeah, so this was my proposal. Yeah, if I have to sum up, if you look at the design, so there were so many things which has gone into designing the symbol. It was just not what you see, but there is a lot of things gone into it. Yeah, so looking at various aspects of the symbol in terms of the usage, in terms of the user, how they're going to use it, and how they might find it both visually and practically, and also in terms of writing and so on. So And my intention was to kind of create a multiple meaning and embed multiple meaning and reinforce this idea of Indianness. If you remember in the beginning, I said that the competitions had a guideline, and one of them was that it has to reflect our Indian tradition and and the culture. So I wanted to reinforce this idea of Indianness into the symbol. So that's why I tried to have multiple meaning embedded into it. Yeah, so. Finally, a symbol should signify a meaningful thought. Meaning to a symbol is like soul to a body. Without soul, the body is nothing. Without deeper, sensible, and thought provoking meaning, the symbol is needless. This symbol truly symbolizes our country, our tradition, our nation's economy, and its currency. Yeah. So I'm thankful to IDC School of Design, IIT Bombay, where I did my master's and my PhD, and who taught me the design. And firstly, I would like to thank all my school teachers. I studied in a boarding school in Chennai right from my first to 12th standard. I'm thankful to all my teachers, my principal, Shanta Rajagopalan, and all my teachers who were instrumental in making me who I am right now and who taught me everything in life. And I had learned a lot, and I'm thankful to my school, La Chatelaine Residential Junior College. It's in Chennai. Of course, now it's a day scholar school, and I'm thankful to all of them. And I'm thankful to my college. I did architecture from School of Architecture and Planning, Anna University. To all my professors there, for all my teachers and staff who helped me to kind of nurture this architecture and creative abilities in me. And in fact, the school laid the foundation, and I took it up further in my college in architecture. It nurtured my creativity, and it opened up a lot more possibilities for me to kind of venture into. And then, of course, IDC School of Design, IIT Bombay, which again opened up my mind to a world about a world of design. And I got to learn a lot. And it is all because of this learning and understanding from all those teachers and my guides that I was able to kind of achieve this. And I'm thankful to all of them, all my teachers. And yes, I'm thankful to my parents who has always given me the freedom to be what I want to be. They never intruded or interfered in whatever I wanted. Even now, they kind of wonder what I do as a designer. So, but nevertheless, I'm really thankful to all my parents and my brothers, sisters, and my family, and yes, and friends as well. So thanks to all of them, and thanks to you as well for giving me the time to share this and also patiently listening to the presentation. Yeah. So now, with this, I think I'm at the end. I did have, and actually, this presentation also had another part where I kind of had a lot of examples, but to kind of save time, I kind of put it very short. This rest of the presentation was like mostly slides of examples, yeah, where I've kind of used it in where people will see in a day-to-day life. But of course, this was kind of a very short presentation, and yes, so that is it. So now I look to your questions. Yeah, so thank you again.
The journey you took us through was really enjoyable, and your accomplishments are very commendable, Doctor. It was great learning and inspiring on the entire design thinking process that went into the whole designing of the rupee symbol. And yeah, you so casually gave us lessons like how to give more than what is asked for or what is expected from you. That was really a good learning for all of us. I'm sure a lot of us practice it, but it's like a lesson coming from you. And I definitely think you struck the patriotic chord in each of us Indians here.
Thank
And
you.
another commendable thing is with such an accomplishment on you, your humbleness is something that we all have to take back as a lesson. A lot of times when we reach heights, we forget the steps of the ladder. And I'm so touched that you mentioned everything from your grade one to everybody that has come into your life for your success and where you are today. That's really a very emotional thing, and like taking that lesson from you, we should always remember where we came from and the initial steps that we took on the ladder to success. Great, Dr. Udaya Kumar. We were really pleased to have you. Yeah, everyone, I'm sure you all have some kind of a feedback or some learning. Please type it on the chat, or you can unmute yourself and talk with Dr. Udaya directly.
Hi, Dr. Uday.
Hi.
I would like to ask you if that was ago, if today you had to change the symbol again, what would you like to change in your own symbol?
Yeah, the conceptual wise, I may not would like to change anything, but there was some design, finer design aspect of it, which I would want to maybe want to look at it, especially if you look at the top line and the curve where it actually joins. Yeah, probably the curve, I should have had a trapping there. Typically in the type design, you have this called something called trapping in joineries. Yeah, because when our stroke joins another stroke, whether a curvilinear stroke joining a vertical stroke or curvilinear stroke joining a curvilinear stroke in alphabets like A, B, C, and so on. Yeah. So where you want to kind of reduce the thickness so that there is not too much of black area there. So in that sense, probably the top part of it where the curve joins the horizontal line, top line, maybe I may want to kind of really refine a little bit of that. And yeah, that is something which sometimes when I look at it in a very larger size, I thought I should probably look into it. But again, time constraints and to the whatever best of that time, what I could understand, I try to put it. But yeah, this is one thing which I may want to change. Yeah, fine tune it a little bit.
Thank you. After all, we're all designers and we're all iterative.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Yeah. So we'll keep improving no matter what. So yeah, thank you.
True. Great question. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Nimisha here. Nimisha here. Hello, sir. The
Hi.
design journey you took us, it was like so much patriotic and so much heartwarming. I'm never going to look back at the symbol the same way. Like uh, uh, again, if I look at the symbol now, then I can see the flag and the R in the raw and the R that you have mixed together. It is so much we never thought about the story. Thank you for coming here and presenting to us and telling this story. This is really awesome.
Thank you, Nimisha. Yeah, thank you.
Very true.
In fact, during the presentation, where the five finalists were presenting, we were given precisely 10 minutes to present. I think I was third in line for the present, third or fourth in line. So when everybody went, they came out with about for about 45 minutes or an hour. Yeah, so everybody took about an hour. Yeah, and I was the only guy who came out in 15 minutes. And at the end of all of their presentation, I was so worried and. Because I was the only guy who just came and rest of them were spending almost 45, 1 hour so that maybe they intently looked at their work and they tried to understand. But I just came out in 15 minutes and that was little worried at that point of time. And we also kind of shared what did they ask and individually, of course, amongst ourselves, the five finalists, we kind of kept on asking what they asked. And for me, I had only one question of all the entire in the session. And when the rest of them had multiple questions been asked, so the only question that they asked me was this: if you remember the last slide, I had a colored symbol, yeah, with blue and orange, saffron and green. Yeah. So the only question they asked, when do you see a symbol with such colorfulness? Yeah. So typically you see a symbol in monocolor. Yeah, it's either black or any single color. You'll never see in multiple colors. So that was the only question they asked. That I did not know what to answer. I said, if you are thinking of a color, then this is the choice that I wanted to give. Other than that, I don't have any much idea. But again, I try to use the same tricolor flag colors into the symbol, and I use the blue of the wheel. Yeah, so that was the only thing. And yeah, so I thought I'll share that experience as well. So
Yeah, in fact, that was a nice answer, sir. Like, that's exactly where we visualize and we ideate and we think about what is not possible and we go beyond what can be done in real, I think. So
yes.
I think that's where they were clear. The presentation must have been clear and crisp, and that's why they only 15 minutes of yeah.
I hope so. Yeah. Yes.
We have another question from Sampanna. So Sampanna, can you ask the question to directly? Can you do that?
Oh, yes. typed in. Please share
Yeah,
your
yeah.
experience teaching and about design education in India today. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I have been learning, and it's been a very good learning experience overall so far. And as we get students from different backgrounds, especially BDES. Yeah, they are just passed out from 12th standard and they have no idea what they're getting into, especially in terms of design. At least for engineering and other disciplines like medicine and everything, there is some kind of a family understanding which they pass it on to that the student. Yeah, at least they are familiar with all the other streams, and especially when they come to the design, they face a lot of challenges and they are clueless, and that also becomes a very good thing for us in some sense, because they are they don't have any inhibitions or anything, so they are just raw, and it becomes easier for us to kind of impart that design understanding to them, and they just kind of absorb it. Yeah, and they really do well, and they are really creative in the sense, so which I tend to kind of appreciate and kind of learn from it. Yeah, so and there's and each one of them are creative in their own sense. Yeah, so that is also another thing which I kind of observed and learned from. Yeah, and since we also have masters and undergraduate program together, so we see the differences in terms of how they work, how they kind of experience design, and how their creative output are. Nowadays, bachelor's students are very, very creative, and they don't have any kind of limitations. They just go all out and do, and they kind of come up with all strange kind of possibilities. Sometimes you don't even expect, and that's something which is very nice. And that is why I see that from their very raw understanding of design, from the background that they come and they get into design. So they kind of explore, and their explorations are really good. And it's not to say that the masters are kind of bad, but their research intents is also good. They kind of try to explore and do a lot of study, because they are little matured as compared to the bachelors. So in the bachelor's level, there is a lot of creative energy, and they kind of go all out. They don't worry about what's going to happen or how this will work, and so they just like they are free to kind of explore themselves. At master's level, they are a little cautious, and they just take steps, and they kind of study and do thorough understanding of what they are trying to do. And we also try to do our best to kind of impart design knowledge. See, as you know, design cannot be taught in an actual sense. Yeah, so you need to kind of experience it to really kind of understand how design works and how it is. Yeah, so it's a challenge for us also, but we just, and for me personally, I only give them directions and try to find out, I mean, this is how you need to kind of move ahead, and this is your way and path, and like that. It is more than that, like teaching them what exactly to do and what, because like I said, it's just an experience. Yeah, because one good example is this. I also teach colors at a basic level. Yeah, so each one of us prefer different kind of colors. Yeah, and also applications of the colors when they are used in different mediums. Again, their appeals are very different. Yeah, their aesthetics are completely different. Yeah, so no one person will have constantly have the same perception as how I do. Yeah, I often tell this. Another example is that when I eat an apple, I can only taste that apple for myself. The taste is for me, and when you eat the same apple, your taste is different. So maybe what I'm experiencing, what you're experiencing, may not be the same. Yeah, maybe the same apple or whatever it is, but the experience is different. It's very individual. Yeah, so that's why it becomes very challenging to kind of teach design. But I try to help them, to guide them or show them the way how you need to kind of go ahead, and they pick up and they try to explore themselves and learn for themselves. Yeah, so yeah, this is what I have been doing, and also trying to experiment and explore with the students and learn with them along with them. Yeah, so far I hope I could answer something. And
Definitely,
since
I'm sure.
thank you. And since we are in a technical institute, we are part of IIT because we are one department in the IIT system, unlike NID or any other institutes which are full-fledged design institutes. So we have the technical students are also with us, and yeah, so we are unlike our foundation and our the basic courses and everything is not that as rigor as how NID teaches, and other design institutes and design schools teach. Yeah, so we have a blend of engineering courses with the design courses. So our foundation is kind of a mixed. Yeah, it was not like full-fledged design course as such, at least at the undergraduate level. Yeah? So, and even at the master's level, we have a common master's program. We don't have a specialization like how it is in IDC or NID, like a master's in automobile design, master's in textile or graphic or animation. So we have one common master's design program, which is MDes. Through electives and through their project work, students try to specialize themselves. And of course, we do have faculty members who are expert in different fields, who try to guide the students in those expert areas. And through electives and projects, the students themselves try to specialize on their own. Yeah? But we as an department, we only offer a general master's in design program. Yeah? And research is, of course, is a different altogether. A PhD research is altogether a different this thing. It's very individual specific, research specific, and faculty specific. The research domain specific. Yeah, so and it's very intense. Yeah.
So after 12th, how do they get into IIT, the design department? I mean, do they also take the JEE like the usual course or?
Yeah. Oh, this is one new thing. I think not many of them are aware of it. Maybe some of you might be parents who can also kind of guide your own children. Yeah. So what happens, especially the design department, earlier since 2014, till then we've been taking students through JEE exam. Yeah, because all IIT undergraduate program is through JEE exam, and that JEE admissions is based on the ranking. Yeah, so you need to qualify the JEE and have a very good ranking. And then based on your ranking, you can choose the discipline that you want to do and choose the IITs that you wanted to go. Say, for example, there are certain IITs which are known for certain disciplines. Yeah. Say if I am a rank 10 holder. So I have the preference of choosing whatever department which is of good and whichever IIT that I feel like, because rank 10 holder will have a lot more options. And likewise, according to ranking, you get your preferences. And so typically rank 1 person will choose computer science in IIT Bombay, which is like very, very, very good department and a very good prospect also in computer science, and then electrical and likewise. Yeah. So till 2014, we used to take students through JEE. And 2015 onwards, we have this new admission entrance test, which is called the USEET, Undergraduate Common Entrance Exam. So after you finish your 12th, you need to give this USEET exam. Once you qualify this USEET exam, based on your ranking, you can get through a design department in a centrally funded institute, yeah, which is like an IIT. Yeah. So, and only very few IITs have design departments. IIT Guwahati, IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, Hyderabad, and IIT Kanpur has a design program. They don't have an undergraduate program yet. And yeah, so these are the 5 IITs amongst the 23 IITs. Of course, the newer IITs are now starting off with the design department. So only these 5 IITs which are subscribed to USEET. Yeah, so taking students through USEET admissions. Yeah, so our BTech students come through USEET. All you have to do is qualify this USEET. And USEET has a website and it has all the model papers and all the details of how you need to qualify and how the exams are conducted. It's basically typically to an NID entrance or any design entrance. And now what happened is like a lot of many private design institutes and schools are also kind of following it up and using the USEET score for their own admissions. Yeah. So, and typically rank 1 to 20 people would want to apply to Guwahati and Bombay and likewise. Yeah. So this is in parallel to the JEE. Of course, you don't have to give a JEE exam, but you have to give a USEET exam to join the design department. Yeah. So that is with the bachelor's. And for the master's, you need to qualify SEET, which is like common entrance exam for design. And get some institutes, these 5 institutes which I talked about, Delhi, Bombay, Kanpur, Hyderabad and Guwahati. So some of the institute will also kind of take through GATE as well as SEET. And we are mostly prefer SEET qualified students for our admissions. GATE is also considered, but it is very, very less. But mostly we look at the SEET score for our admissions and masters. And for PhD, it is strictly research-based and again, faculty-centered, where faculty might have a certain research domain and research projects which you want to contribute, or you might have your own research area which is like very prospective and which you think is very potential for the future and so on, you can take it up and interact with the faculty, and you can apply for the PhD admissions. PhD is a very longer process, lengthier process in the sense it will take for 5 years, minimum 4 years, and 5 years, and also maybe beyond, yeah, depending on your research area. Yeah, so for admissions, you don't have to give JEE. So just you can read, you can give the UCEED exam after 12th. Then I think you should, if you qualify, you can get into any of these IITs.
Okay, that was a really nice information. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people after undergrad, they want to pursue masters or PhDs, and you know that's really nice to know the path to get into the IITs. Once again, I think we are really, had a wonderful discussion with you, Dr. Udaya. And again, thank you so much for the humbling experience you gave us walking throughout your design process and all the information you shared with us. Thank you so much.